Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the Value Creation Playbook, the channel where we discuss about value creation levers. Today, in episode 11, we talk of ESG and how ESG can turn out to be a source of value creation, not just a compliance checkbox. ESG over the years have taken a different dimension, my friends. Earlier, it was only about a CSR initiative, or you give it to an intern to just gather some data points only for a reporting perspective. But those days are gone. ESG today happens to be one of the most unrealized value lever that you have at your disposal to make that differentiation to this entire value creation narrative. So once again, welcome back to the channel. Today is episode 11. And just like for the previous 10 episodes, all this content is being developed for private equity leaders or the transformation executives whose whole aim is to make a transformation journey with the right levers, with less pain and more of gain at the end of the horizon. I want to reframe ESG as a profit engine, a genuine source of value creation. You are going to look at examples where ESG delivered measurable EBITDA gains, reduced the cost of capital, attracted best talent, better talent, and even helped win deals. By the end of the session, I expect that you will see that right ESG play isn't charity, it's strategy at the end of the day. Too often, ESG has been seen as a necessary evil, something you have to do because the regulators, whether in India or abroad, want them. Customers push for that. Investors expect it. But the companies that are really pulling ahead are the ones treating ESG as an investment, not as a liability. Let's take diversity, equity, and inclusion. Anybody who has integrated DI into a process has a favorable outcome. Diverse skills, perspectives, problem solving, retention jumps automatically. Or take the manufacturing firm I've mentioned in the slide. Initial capex pain turns into a long-term gain. That's the point. ESG at the end of the day can influence your revenue, margins, and customer loyalty. When it's embedded into the business model, it stops being an item on the cost side and starts becoming a multiplier on the income side. And that's a great differentiator, my friends. Let's talk of ESG-linked financing. And this is one that the CFOs love. Cheaper debt through ESG-linked financing. That's happening, my friends. That's reality. A European chemicals company secured 400 million in sustainability-linked loans. The targets were around emissions and energy intensity. They missed one KPI and the interest rate jumps 50 basis points. At the end of the day, you can bet that sustainability targets became board level priorities after that. There's a big sea change. Similarly, a retail brand tied its revolving credit facility to supply chain compliance. The result? Tier 2 vendors suddenly started passing modern slavery audits, and the cost of capital dropped 80 basis points. This is what I call ESG-linked finance, a key cheat code. You get lower interest rate and higher governance standard. And it's not about saving money. It's about creating operational discipline that improves the entire governance layer that you have in the organization. And it's a long-term ripple effect, my friends. Now let's come about data. Data is critical in ESG reporting, but data alone really moves people. LPs, like all investors, respond to narratives. A strong ESG story has an arc: where you started, what you changed, and the measurable differences it made. This could be emission reductions, supplier transformations, or employee well-being gains. When LPs see that you can develop and deliver operational transformation and the results while advancing sustainability, they just don't see compliance, they see competence. And that builds trust, my friends, making it easier for you to raise capital the next time. Think of it this way: ESG reporting should feel that it's all about a turnaround story with the hard numbers, not like a homework assignment with 6 bullet points. Nobody would love to do that. Let's talk about waste. Waste, not profit more. Waste reduction is one of the fastest way to turn ESG into EBITDA. A global pharma site in Ireland partnered with a biotech waste recycler to reuse solvents. They recovered 22% of what was previously discarded, saving to 2.1 million to be precise a year, plus earning tax breaks and an environment award. So there's a multiplier effect, as I was telling you earlier. In Netherlands, a fintech data center switched to 100% renewables. People thought it's just hipster economics until they saw the cooling cost drop by 15%. And the brand picked up 3 sustainability awards. The takeaway: waste is often margin hiding in your plain sight. That's simple English. Tough to do, I know. The smart companies are turning environmental responsibility into operational efficiency. And of course, the bragging rights come free. Let's talk about embedding ESG into procurement. You are what you buy. Procurement decisions shape your ESG profile as much as your internal policies. A large manufacturer made ESG scores part of supplier evaluation. Within 18 months, that's 1.5 years, tier one suppliers improved energy benchmarks by 27%. And the buyer saw a 3% drop in COGS. A pharma firm started requiring sustainability disclosures in tenders, filtering out laggards and making compliance easier for audits. Even fintechs are getting on this. One replaced overseas merchandise vendors with local minority-owned suppliers. They got faster turnaround, better branding, and a LinkedIn post that went viral. Procurement-led ESG isn't about feeling good. It's smart sourcing with measurable business benefits. That's the bottom line impact. We can't ignore the role of operating partners in this entire narrative. ESG used to be something you gave to the CSR intern or the comms team, the Marcoms guy. Those days are gone. Those days are over. In private equity or any large organization undergoing a transformation, ESG execution is now an operational leadership role. Operating partners are embedding ESG into everything from capex decision to supply chain design to digital transformation roadmaps. Why, you may ask? Have they gone crazy? Nope. Because ESG impacts multiple value levers: cost structure, brand equity, talent attraction, and of course, valuation multiples. 4 key attributes. That means it's not just one project, it's a strategic imperative that demands operational excellence. So ESG is now a part of your value creation playbook. not an appendix to it. And always remember, whatever you do, at the end of the day, there has to be metrics that talk of the story, as I was telling you earlier, the arc that I mentioned earlier. One reason ESGFers lose steam is because companies track the wrong things. Counting the number of trainings attended on Earth Day events hosted is fine for internal morale, but it won't move investor confidence or operational performance. The metrics that matter are operational and financial. Carbon per SKU, energy intensity per dollar of revenue, water reuse per production line, diversity by role and pay band, just to name a few. I love these examples of a fintech platform that added carbon warnings into its development environment. Every time code changes increased emissions, developers were on alert and fixed it before launch. Result, 19% drop in emission in 1 year. Make ESG metrics actionable, measurable, and tied to real business outcomes, and they will stop being ignored. That's why I keep saying you need to understand what your business levers are, what the business outcomes are. Use leading lagging indicators to come up with the right matrix to track, report, and analyze. And finally, culture. If your ESG strategy is just an annual photo op on the Earth Day, it won't stick. To make ESG durable, it has to be embedded into how the business operates daily. A biotech firm that I mentioned here states sustainability targets for every department from R&D to HR and achieved 80% of them, building credibility with partners. A manufacturing firm introduced ESG town halls. It started with eye rolls, of course, but one discussion led to an AI tool for predicting emissions, which is now a part of their ops dashboard. These are only two of the good stories that I keep hearing. There are so many more. And as you hear me talk about all the episodes in the past and even in the going forward, there'll be some common threads across. One of them is culture. You will see me talking at least 2 minutes on culture in every episode that I do. Now coming back to ESG. When ESG becomes a part of how decisions are made, not just what's said in reports, it stops greenwashing and starts becoming your growth engine. We are now at the end of this episode. So there you have it. ESG as a true source of your value creation. From cheaper capital to better talent, from operational savings to stronger LP narratives. This is no longer a compliance checkbox. And whatever I said is equally true for a mid to a large organization undergoing transformation. Not only for private equity, for otherwise also. And done right, ESG strengthens the business case and the exit case. If you found today's episode useful, hit subscribe, leave your thought in the comments, and do share this with somebody who still thinks ESG is just PR. Not so. I hope I've been able to pass on the message. Let's turn insight into impact. See you in the next episode. Once again, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and stay safe.